Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Thank you for joining us on our spring member town hall. I'm very happy to have you here, and we have received all your questions. We're more than excited to answer them. As we get started, a few housekeeping tips. Today's format will be answering all your questions I mentioned earlier. We will reduce all background noise. So if you are eating, having your lunch, maybe going for a walk, pay it no mind. Everything is silenced. You can enjoy the conversation and enjoy the questions. We will be using the Q&A feature, so if you have any additional questions during the presentation, please use that feature because the chat has been disabled. Also, this presentation will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube page at youtube.com/@HarvardFCU. Now, I have the pleasure and honor of introducing Craig Leonard, our esteemed president and CEO of Harvard Federal Credit Union. Please take it away, Craig.
Thanks, Terrence. Really appreciate you hosting this, and I know we're so close to summer. You said spring, and so I think we're a week or so away. So
Yeah.
doesn't feel it yet, but hopefully that warmer weather is going to come in. And thanks everyone for joining us today. Just a quick note for all of you from me is I generally do these town halls from my office, but I am doing it remote. My youngest son graduated from 8th grade today, so I made sure that I attended that ceremony, and so I'm praying that nothing goes wrong with my internet at home. So
fingers crossed.
fingers crossed.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks so much. So first is just how we're doing financially, and we're having a better year through the first 5 months compared to that of 2024. It's interesting to note a few things. We're seeing a lot of our members put some more money into their savings accounts and into their checking accounts. Our overall deposits are up about 5% on an annual basis through May at this point. We are seeing kind of our lending stay fairly flat. Overall mortgage growth is a little negative versus that of last year, and it's tough. Interest rates are still kind of high within the marketplace, and homes, there's still some supply related issues out there. So we are seeing a little bit of decreased growth within the overall mortgage portfolio. We do monitor consumer spend or member spend, and what we're seeing over this, at least through the first 5 months, is that credit card spend from our members is about flat to that of last year for the same period, and debit card spend is up about 5%. So you hear consumers are still kind of spending out there, and I would say that's still the case for our membership as well. And then the very last thing I would kind of make note of is that people continue to join the credit union, which is phenomenal. We think we have a great value proposition within the marketplace, and so our membership growth right now is up about 4.5% on an annual basis, which is trending higher than where we typically see at this point within the year. So that's fantastic news as well.
Good growth. Okay, so let's see. Can everybody see my screen? Is everybody looking good? Cool. Let's jump into the first question, which is how sound is the credit union and how well is it positioned to navigate current economic changes?
Yeah, it's a great question. You hear a lot these days about, the economy weakening, and the credit union is extremely strong. We get examined by our bank regulators on an annual basis, and they come into the institution and they it's like going to your annual physical, if you will. They really check us out to make sure that we're operating appropriately. And we have what's considered our capital position is the same as if you would consider your own kind of net worth position. And so from regulatory standards, we're considered well capitalized, which is really the best you can get. So we feel like, we have enough capital based upon the risk profile that we have at the institution. And so what we do is, as our risk tends to change, we ensure that we have enough kind of capital or net worth to make sure that we're taking in consideration the different risks within the marketplace. The other thing that we're doing, and we're not alone, most institutions are doing this, is we are setting some more funds in our provision for loan loss. So as the economy may start to soften, and certainly, and there's some questions later in here around kind of Harvard specific relationship and the credit union. But should loans start to weaken within our portfolio, we're putting some more reserves on a monthly basis in anticipation of that to happen. We don't want it to happen, but we're just we're being safe and we're being prudent in our practice.
Nice. It sounds like we're being cautious for all the right reasons.
We are.
Good. All right, next question. Do you offer interest-bearing checking accounts?
We do. We have a couple different accounts that offer um, interest on their checking accounts. I would say the one that most new members are being are going towards is our rewards checking account. And there's kind of two different flavors to it. We have one version that offers a cash back type of program based upon debit card spend. And then we have another part that is really truly interest bearing that pays a premium interest on the checking accounts. And I think the rate on that is 3%. So 3% on a checking account these days is fairly unheard of. It's an attractive rate. It's 100% liquid. You put your money in, take it out tomorrow, and so it's very attractive within the marketplace. So if you're looking to make or put more of your money, at work where you can get a good return, I would certainly look at our rewards checking specifically.
Awesome. And my colleague Shannon Kane has also put that link in the chat. So if you're looking to learn more about it, check the chat right now. It's harvardfcu.org/checking. Thank you, Shannon.
And it's a free account too. So
Hmm.
there's no fees attached to it. So it's a win-win.
Win-win. Next question. What are the advantages of membership for Harvard students?
Yeah, it's we think we offer a really good value to students in particular. If you like the word free, then having accounts with us as a student is gonna really work for you. We offer free checking accounts. Those that the account that I had just mentioned is a perfect example of that. What we see is a lot of the students um, gravitate towards the cash back proposition of those two different rewards type of accounts. We have a host of free um, webinars and financial literacy. You know that probably better
Mhm.
than anyone, Terrence. We're
Yeah.
always doing different classes where students can really increase their kind of their financial knowledge, and it's not something we I would say consumers do enough of. We spend money each and every day. And unfortunately, a lot, if most, don't have a good handle on how to do it well. So I think we offer a great lineup of free educational resources, not just to the student population, but our entire membership. We
Yes, we
also
do.
we also have some free kind of, I'm going to say, get out of jail perks for students. We know that all of us make mistakes, students too, in terms of, hey, you know what? I lost my debit card. I lost it in the dorm. I need to get another one. We have a host of different kind of things that would typically be charged, but we waive those for students. Wires are another thing that's free for students. So if you're in school, you need maybe mom and dad send you some funds. That's a free charge for students. So whole host of things. I'd really recommend that you go to the website. There's a whole list of just what those free perks are. The other thing that's pretty cool is, when you're banking with our credit union, you're giving back to the broader Harvard community, and that's for our entire membership. As we do business, we're really proud of what we give back to the community. And so as you support us, we can support the university and the community at large.
Yeah. You mentioned free a lot, and as someone who teaches financial wellness here, free is for me, and free is also for you. It's a great, nice thing to have, and some of these membership benefits are truly beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, touch in on what you said and how we give back. We just recently had a scholarship program where we gave back to our
Right.
well, or our members, students as well. So
Right. And I think those were 10 different scholarship awards, if I'm,
that's correct.
yeah, that was terrific to do. We're really proud of doing those things.
Oh yeah. All right, next. Are there any mortgage or loan discounts available for postdocs?
We don't have anything specific for postdocs, and um, if the person who submitted this question is listening, I would love for them to email me and just kind of give me a sense more about some of the challenges that postdocs may have. Because, if there's something that we can do specific for that part of our membership, I would certainly look at doing so. We have generally speaking, discounts that we offer for first-time home buyers. There's credits available towards closing. The other thing that we've done recently is that we want you to be engaged with the credit union. And so we do offer now for any person taking out a mortgage, an eighth of a point of a discount if you have a certain checking account with us. And so, we want to reward you for doing more business with us. And that's one way that we can do that. We're really happy in doing so. And I would say for the members that are taking out new mortgages with us, we have something towards a 90% success rate, I guess, if you will, of those who take advantage of that. And why wouldn't you? An eighth off of your rate for a mortgage in the end can be thousands of dollars worth of savings. So,
Yeah.
but I would love to learn more about, kind of what the challenges around for postdocs. We do have a loan program for doctors, and it may be similar in terms of what we do for uh, uh, doctors. Doctors have an enormous amount of student loan debt. And so when we qualify that population, we take that student loan debt into consideration because that often can be a roadblock for qualifying. So it may be similar type of concerns, but I would love to learn more about it.
Okay. And if you are joining us, Craig's email address is in the chat right now. So please feel free to send him an email. Thanks, Craig.
Sure thing.
Will Harvard FCU be joining the real-time payment and/or FedNow network?
Yeah, we will be. We're working with our vendor on this, and it's a little bit of a lengthy process. We're hopeful that we'll be part of the real-time payment of the FedNow network in 2026. And really, for most members, what that is, there's a real push within the industry to make just payments faster, instantaneously. And so you think about now, you might send a check, right? Hypothetically, and checks can take days for it to clear versus, I send Terrence a payment now and instantaneously it's out of your funds and instantaneously it's in Terrence's funds. And
Mm,
so the whole industry is moving more towards real-time payments. And so we intend to be part of that for our members, likely sometime in 2026. But we are, like I said, we are working with our vendors towards it now.
right. Good news. Hopefully 2026, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Now, this is a little sad, but also kind of good news. Why is the Longwood branch closing?
Yeah, we're happy and sad, like you said, Terrence. We love the location that we are at now on Brookline Avenue over in the Longwood area. It's fantastic. For those members that aren't familiar where we are, it's right next to the Joshland's Diabetes Center. Um, Many of you may be aware that the Joshland's Diabetes Center, that building is going to be demolished as a new Dana-Farber Cancer Center goes there in its place. Where we are located, that part of the building is going to be demolished as well. So we have to vacate. And so we will likely be closing that branch at the end of October. But we found a new home within the Longwood Medical Center. It's on the other side. It's over at One Brigham Circle. If you're familiar with that area, there's a Star Market location right there. And we're going to be right in that complex. It's kind of on the backside of the Harvard Medical School. It's interesting too, over the years, when we vacated, we used to have a branch within the School of Public Health. And when we vacated that space, we heard from a number of members their disappointment in us leaving that location. So we're happy that we can be in close proximity, and more so that we're still going to be right there within the Longwood Medical District as a whole. It's going to be a good sized branch, street access, which is important for our members versus kind of having to go into an existing building. So if everything goes according to schedule, we'll be opening up that new branch the very end of July, possibly the very beginning of August. But we're happy that that new location is opening. I'm sad to leave the Brookline Avenue location, but certainly, you know what, the Dana-Farber Center is just going to be just a wonderful addition down there.
Definitely. Also, if you're looking for new or for more information about the new branch, Shannon has also put the link in the chat, harvardfcu.org/new branch at LMA. Thank you, Shannon. Next question. What offerings do you have for non-local members?
Yeah, I'm gonna consider non-local are those that maybe reside outside of Massachusetts, maybe even outside of New England. Um, the good thing about our institution is that you can do pretty much everything with us, regardless of where you are located, with one exception, which is mortgages. Okay, so our mortgage footprint um, is within the New England states and Florida. Those are the states that we are currently permitted to do mortgages, real estate mortgages in. Um, Other types of loans, consumer loans, credit cards, doesn't matter where you live, we can help you. Any type of deposit account, doesn't matter where you live, we can help you. And so investment advisory services, doesn't matter where you live, we can help you. It's just that mortgage issue. And what we are trying to do is we want to add more and more states to our lineup. And we're being thoughtful of where we kind of go next. We've, like I said, New England, of course, made sense. Florida made sense to us as we have a lot of people, certainly up in New England, who are snowbirds and they want their second home down there in Florida. We are now just thinking about where to go next. But we will continue to add more states to our lineup.
Cool, cool. Excited. Next, how has inflation affected Harvard FCU's savings rates?
Yeah, inflation spiked really, I think, back in 2022 when we really saw an increase of nearly 5%, in short-term interest rates. That's what the Fed did. They jacked up rates uh, uh, quickly and substantially through the marketplace. And all institutions, or I would say most institutions, reacted by increasing primarily their CD rates. And we did the same. What we did during that time is we did introduce those reward checking accounts, but we also have a reward savings accounts that's attached to it. And the reward savings accounts is a premium rate with the market. I think it's today our rate for that is 3.75. Again, it's 100% liquid. It's a really good rate. When you match the rewards checking with the reward savings, you can get 3% on the checking, 3.75 on the savings for liquid money, which is great. The other thing that we've been doing, and I would say separates us from a lot of institutions, is that we've continued to give really premium savings, premium CD rates on longer terms. What we've seen in the market over the last year is that many institutions that were doing that shifted their maturities to be very short. And they did that for the reason of anticipating that the Fed would eventually decrease rates. and that they could then lower members' rates faster, which helps
Mm,
them. We've kind of taken a different approach, and granted, we still have premium rates short term, but we also have premium rates long term, and quite honestly, I've advocated, and our members have really done this. If you see where our members now opt to put their money in CDs, it's in our 15-month, which is a great term to be in rather. Um, and so we see members extending a little bit. And so that if the Fed does start to decrease rates, our members have locked in that higher yield for a longer period of time, which is great for them. So we're happy to do that. It separates us a little bit from other institutions. So inflation in general has caused all institutions, to really increase their savings rates. Um, Depositors for years really took it on the chin when rates were kind of down to nothing. And so, the market has shifted over the last few years, in particular, where um, savers are actually getting paid a little bit, certainly more than what they've done or have had over the last decade. So,
I'm excited to tell you that.
yeah, again, if you're in the market for a CD, I strongly advocate that if liquidity isn't an issue for you, really look at our 15-month product. It's a good rate. It's a good term where you're not going too long, but does protect you. There is this talk that the Fed may still cut rates later this year, and so we'll see. CPI, which is an inflation index, came out this week along with kind of what manufacturers pay in terms of kind of their pricing. And those both came in fairly, benign. And so it does give more support to the Fed potentially decreasing rates later this year.
Hopefully, if you want to, take advantage of our CD rates.
Now's the time to do it.
Definitely. All right. How will Harvard FCU be impacted by the ongoing issues between Harvard University and the Trump administration?
Yeah, the credit union is separated from a university, and we certainly share that name, Harvard, and our focus largely is to the Harvard community, right? That's who we have served for 85 years. um, and so we're not sure of the true impact yet. Certainly, we do a lot of our business to the members within the Harvard community. And so as Harvard is impacted, there's always that potential, that we have a lot of loans to employees who work within the university. So if the university decided to decrease the size of its workforce potentially, there's increased risk to that of the credit union. It's another reason that, when we talked, I think on the first slide about how safe and sound we were, I had mentioned that we are starting to put more monies aside for potential loan losses. This is one of the reasons we're doing so, because we just don't know what will happen. I will say too that through this process, we've been working close with the university to see how we can continue to deepen our partnership and how we can be um, a benefit and a resource to the university, uh, depending on what happens through all these dealings with the Trump administration. So we're ready to continue to help the university in any way that makes sense for us to do so. And then we'll see. It seems like every week something's changing, and so we're prepared to be, a good partner. That's what we've always been, and that's what we'll always continue to do.
All right. Very nice. Next, how will the current tension between Harvard and the US government affect the credit union's loans?
Yeah, it's kind of like what I had just mentioned before is depending on what happens again with the university, should the university get into a situation, and I hope that they don't, where they have to start potentially, um, laying off personnel, They've done some things already in terms of having a hiring freeze in place. And so the university's doing some things that, of course, they don't want to do, but are being forced to do based upon kind of the current circumstances. And should, that we may see some deterioration within our loan portfolio as a result. We're prepared for that. And we're prepared to work with our members. So if we have members that are being challenged as a result of these times, let us know. I think we take a lot of pride in being member centric. That's what we're all about. It's people helping people. That's the mission of all credit unions and certainly our mission as well. And so if you're being challenged, by all means, reach out to our lending teams. We're here to help you through this.
Awesome. Very reassuring, Craig. Next, has the credit union received any inquiries or demands from the Trump administration?
No, we haven't, and I don't suspect that we ever would. Like I said, we are separate from how we operate from the university. So I would not anticipate that to ever happen really for us. Again, we share that name Harvard, and we support the Harvard community. But beyond that, I don't suspect that the Trump administration would reach out to us or have any demands certainly placed upon the institution.
Okay, good to know. Reassuring. And questions. What are Harvard FCU's upcoming initiatives, Craig?
Yeah, we've been working on a number of things that I want to keep everyone aware of. We rolled out this really cool tool within online banking called Savvy Money.
Mm,
I love this thing, so I really recommend you all to check it out. And so what we did previously was we would present our members' credit scores on a quarterly basis, and it wasn't a lot of information. It was great to see how your score might have changed on a quarterly basis, but it wasn't dynamic. And this tool is much more dynamic. It allows you to see your report, see the trending of how your score has changed over time. There's a way to simulate your score based upon maybe activities that you may be planning to do, whether it's paying down debt or maybe taking on debt, so you can see the impact of your score as a result. And then there's also some great offers that we can give you that based upon your score that might be relevant for you to consider. The score is updated as quickly as on a 24-hour basis. So it refreshes itself very quickly. And a great tool, as we continue to help people kind of navigate their financial lives and give people tools that really are of benefit. I really feel Savvy Money is one of those. So take a look at that. We are still working on rolling out more around business banking. We rolled out a business deposit suite late last year. We're still working kind of on the lending side of it. We're making sure we're kind of slow and deliberate. So when we come to market, we have something that works for all those small businesses. And so we hope to announce that later this year. And so I would say those are the big things. And certainly the new branch that we talked about earlier is a nice thing for us, which is, there you go. You just populated it up on the screen for me. We didn't even plan that.
Right there with you, Craig.
You're a mind reader.
Yeah. So as Craig mentioned, this is our new branch at 1620 Tremont Street in Boston, and should be opening by the end of this summer, possibly by the end of July, but let's say give it by the end of the summer and you can come by and stop by.
Yeah. It's going to be a great branch. We're really excited for this one.
Okay. And that is our presentation. Now, we did receive some extra questions. Do you have some time? You want to go through them?
Yeah, I won't we say another 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay, perfect. So let's say the first one is, are debit cards available to international students outside of the US?
They are. So if we have any of our international students and we can ship them to their country of origin, I would certainly say that, within kind of our card app, you probably want to just kind of you can kind of put notices of where you are, so it doesn't have any restrictions in terms of use. But yes, we can do that for you.
Okay. And can everyone use Zelle, and are there limitations?
So everyone can use L. All of our members can use it. There's some restrictions in terms of how much you can transmit on a daily and a monthly basis. I think it's $10,000 in aggregate over a month. And we can for this particular member who asked this question, we can kind of give more of the specifics on those kind of daily and weekly restrictions. One of the challenges that I think was part of this question too uh, was that you do need a US phone number to send money. And I know some people get hung up in terms of its use. So if you're using an international number, there are challenges with that. So using a domestic number within the United States, it works. Using an international number is going to be problematic. So just be mindful of that.
Okay. And what new services or programs are available to members? You did kind of touch on this a
Yeah, we
little.
touched on that one. So if there's a,
Yeah. There is one more. How is credit card security monitored?
So we outsource our debit and credit card processing with a third party, and they use sophisticated um, AI tools to monitor fraud. A lot of it is based upon different they get a sense of how people are using their card, if activity is unusual based upon a person's kind of, I would say, typical use is one. But they use a host of different AI technologies. And again, for this member, I can send them some more information about that. We are looking to change our processing company into late 2026 and early 2027. So we will be making a little change of that. I know one of the issues or concerns that we've had from members over the years is, my card sometimes doesn't allow enough transactions to go through, and some members get upset that, hey, this transaction got blocked. Um, the vendor that we use now use a higher level of caution, I would say. And so we are always trying to balance what's that risk that we think is appropriate for members in terms of allowing transactions to go through versus, hey, we want to make sure nothing fraudulent is happening on your card too. And when you want that card to work, you want it to work, but you also want to ensure that there's top security as well. So sometimes it's a tough balance to always make.
Fully understand. And that's all our questions. If you have any other additional questions for Craig, or if you want to reach out to us, please contact us at support@harvardfcu.org. And we are at Harvard FCU on all of our social channels. And I'll be honest, that has been our presentation. Thank you, Craig. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for being with us today and spending your Friday afternoon with us. We love having you and we love answering your questions. Uh, Thank you and have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.